Welcome to this month's Casper DeFi Working Group call. I want to remind everybody that this call is being recorded and will be shared with the public. So as a reminder, today's agenda, we're going to go over sort of what's new with a focus on obviously Casper 2.0 and progress on other topics since last month's meeting. We're going to go over an overview of the liquid staking token project. We have AJ of Router Protocol here, who's going to present to the group exactly how Router works and what Router intents are and how these concepts can enable cross-network access to your projects. And we're going to discuss token standards on Casper and specifically with Odra. And we have Maciej of the Odra team here who's going to lead that session. Let's start with what's new. So once again, welcome everybody. It's been a interesting few weeks in the Casper ecosystem. The project got a lot of attention over the weekend, and I think Casper was mentioned more on social media than it has ever been before. We also saw the public coming out of a number of new projects on the Casper network. We saw Cowl Network, a new and exciting DeepIn project, announcing that they are building on Casper network. They're working with some very experienced Casper developers and expect to launch in the next couple months. RWI Protocol, the consumer face for the new liquid staking token on Casper, which had their Hello World moment this week as well. We saw increased activity from Outlaw Dogs and APOC, two NFT gaming projects with cross-chain aspirations. They started to lay out their plans and engage with their communities, both inside and outside of Casper. The XP Network, which is a cross-chain NFT bridge, announced new integrations this week that expand access to and from the Casper network. And we expect this week to also feature a number of noteworthy milestones. You may have caught this already in yesterday's Validator Connect call. Recording and summaries online is available online. But the long and short update on Casper 2.0 is that we expect to cut RC5 this week and have started this sprint with updating downstream components, such as the sidecar, the Casper client. SDKs are mostly done. All to be compatible with the most recent changes in Casper 2.0. And those most recent changes include the native capability for smart contracts to stake on the network, which enables exciting DeFi capabilities such as really secure and user-friendly liquid staking implementations, which we'll talk about in this call. And we're also we expect to have some news around wrapping up open topics between Proof AI and Casper Association in the next week or so as well. With regards to progress on topics that we discussed in our last DeFi Working Group meeting, back then we were in the middle of our first season of the Casper Fans campaign. We have since wrapped that season up with tremendous results for our community. We tripled the size of our Telegram community, as well as the communities of many of our ecosystem projects, you guys. Many of you saw the influx of tens of thousands of new followers, users, and eyeballs for your respective projects. In total, between Season 1 and Season 2, we have now acquired more than 500,000 new users for the Casper ecosystem, all people who likely had never heard of Casper before. And we have seen them perform close to 10 million tasks in our ecosystem, greatly amplifying all our respective efforts and outreach and growing our collective addressable market very significantly. Season 2 features a ton more of on-chain tasks to really engage the user base directly with on-chain activity in everyone's projects. And we're seeing good uptake from that already. We're about halfway through Season 2, and I think the on-chain activity has tripled or quadrupled since Season 1. If your project has a need for further exposure or ideas for exciting tasks in our ecosystem, reach out and we will make it happen. Regarding the formation of this DeFi working group, we had a number of outstanding tasks. We established a private Telegram group for the participants in this working group, and we have started to asynchronously align in there. I expect that the activity in there will pick up in the next weeks and months as we make progress on all these initiatives. And Adrian, the DeFi project manager at the Casper Association, who's currently on vacation, started a dashboard that we can all start using as a shared source of truth going forward. And we expect to make that available very soon after his return from vacation. On stable coins, that's something that we discussed in our last call as well. There were some gaps that we identified around the stability of the CSPR USD stablecoin. We've had good conversations with the Sarson group around this, and I see some of you are on the call here. And the association is working on bringing a market maker into the fold who can take over managing the liquidity of the stablecoin and ensure it's truly a solid backbone for DeFi activity in Casper, while Sarson will continue to provide the banking infrastructure in the background. So more info on that soon. Another gap that was identified by the group was the lack of a holders list and API. This was addressed by CSPR.live and CSPR.cloud this month. And any project can now pull in holders lists into their applications. So let's take a look at where we are with our gaps list from last month. So those of you who were in the meeting last month or looked at the recording, this was the exact slide in our deck back then of gaps that we identified and wanted to tackle. Obviously, things like volume, TVL, and liquidity are prime goals, not necessarily deliverables. So let's look at the rest. Stablecoin, as I mentioned, the association is working with the Sarson group on solutions to better manage the liquidity and balancing of the CSPR USD stablecoin. And we're working on bringing a market maker in to help manage this. On liquid staking, we are about to share some updates during this meeting, and new contract staking functionality has been added to RC5 of Casper 2.0. to specifically enable the most optimal in-protocol version of liquid staking. On discovery and getting connected with some of these DeFi information and discovery applications, we are making inroads with these apps, and we know that some of you have had success getting your Casper tokens listed individually. We are now in the process of working on ecosystem-wide integration with several of these platforms, which will be particularly helpful in the context of the next item on this list, which is token minting projects. So we expect that Odra will launch their MVP of Coral AI in the next few weeks, which will enable anyone to describe a new token in natural language, and Coral AI will subsequently write the smart contract for that token, compile it, and deploy it to the Casper network for you. We are also in the process of evaluating a grant proposal for a more sort of pump fund style token minter project with one of the established developers in the Casper ecosystem. This implementation would allow users to create new tokens and at the same time make those tokens available on DEXs and have either a liquidity pool or a bonding curve contract created for the project all at the same time. Holders list we just tackled was made available to the ecosystem in the last few weeks and can now be used by anyone, marked as done. Same goes for CSPR Cloud infrastructure. This has already been freely available for anyone looking to build on top of Casper Network. Burning as a feature is shipping with Casper 2.0, which, as we discussed, we're cutting a release of this week. Then lending protocol also identified as a gap in our ecosystem by many of you. We are in discussions with one of the top lending protocols about extending their offering to Casper Network and expect to be able to provide more information about this in the near future. We're excited to welcome them to the Casper ecosystem soon. And token standard improvements will likely be an ongoing topic since token standards across most, if not all, blockchain networks continue to be iterated upon. Since our last call, Casper open sourced an implementation of CEP 85, a multi-token standard implementation, roughly similar to ERC 1155. You can find that implementation in our Casper ecosystem GitHub organization, and we look forward to seeing what you'll do with it. Additionally, we will spend some time on this call with Maciej of Odra, walking us through the Odra-based implementation of various token standards, which in many cases lend themselves better for rapid implementation, customization, and iteration rather than forking the vanilla implementation, and also covers additional token standards. More about that a little later. So overall, I think within the 1 month between the two calls, there's been significant progress on addressing these gaps in sort of massive collaboration between parties in this working group. So on behalf of the association, thank you to all of you who've helped move all these things forward. Then let's talk about the liquid staking token. This is also really a collaborative effort between several ecosystem parties, something that really resulted from this forum, the DeFi Working Group, and is a first nice proof point of what we can collectively do together. Specifically, the teams working on this are Odra, the Shibu team and their associates, Make, and of course the Casper Association. Shibu and their partners are launching a retail offering via RWI protocol, which announced themselves to the world a couple days ago. The smart contracts are being developed by the team at Odra. Make is providing technical management and architecture support to the overall project. And we're also working with Router Protocol on developing adapters for inbound routes into the new liquid staking protocol. On the technical implementation side, the token contracts are substantially complete. The Odra team is waiting for the final interfaces of Casper 2.0, specifically for contract staking functionality, which they will get this week via RC5. The Casper Association is prioritizing the security audit of these contracts with our external auditors. And collectively, we are working on refining the requirements for RWI's retail offering as the consumer product is being designed and developed. I would also like to point out that this liquid staking token does not implement any centralized dependencies, and all staking and other token operations are entirely triggered in protocol. It is entirely open to be used by all ecosystem partners or participants. Now I would actually like to invite Lorenzo to give us an overview of his plans with the RWI protocol, which will be the consumer face to liquid staking on Casper at launch. Lorenzo, go right ahead.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people here do know about it, but the holders at home don't. I'd like to start by saying that I think, honestly, it's a much needed protocol that we're working on, and the fact that you are working with me on it and Odra, and it's making it safe, secure, and I think every single Casper holder will benefit from it. I think it's a no-brainer once it's functional. I mean, you're basically guaranteeing the minimum APR of Casper itself, and on top of that, you're getting a liquid token, some extra rewards, and of course, the main challenge is going to be to, get enough functionalities for the staked Casper token. But I think we have a pretty good plan on how to do that, especially when it comes to on-chain stuff. Obviously, providing liquidity for tokens on Casper. I mean, they're basically incentivized to use staked Casper instead of Casper. We'll obviously provide a staked Casper to Casper pool ourselves. Down the line, it's probably can be listed on an exchange as well to get even more liquidity for staked Casper. And basically any other layer 1, layer 2 out there, they have a liquid staking protocol. So I think it's great for Casper holders, but I also think that we can really get users from other chains and other protocols to get to be here, because I think it's considering the APR is quite high, the time to unstake is quite low compared to many other chains out there, which are ranging from 7 days to even 21 days. And basically on Casper, it's less than 1 day. So I think that's really something that not many other chains have. And I think especially with Router, right? With the integration with the Router protocol, I think we can make it very easy for users to come to Casper, right? We just make it a button, You click on it, you transform your assets from any other chain into Casper or state Casper, and you can watch your your dashboard, your portfolio grow up. So I think it's gonna work out really nicely, and we're gonna start with some marketing for it once we finalize everything with 2.0. I think we'll be able to get a lot of total value locked on it very fast. I think it's gonna work out really nicely.
Thank you, Lorenzo. And that was actually a nice segue into our next presenter, or next topic, which is router protocol. We've talked about router protocol and router intents a lot in this group. I invited AJ of Router Protocol to provide us with an overview of router, so that all Casper DeFi ecosystem participants are maximally familiar with what capabilities they bring to the table, as well as opportunities to leverage router intents to tap into users and TVL on other blockchains, just as Lorenzo just provided an example of. AJ, thank you for joining us today. I know it's a little late where you are, so I really appreciate it. Please go ahead. The mic is yours. Do you want me to stop sharing so that you can, or?
Yeah, I'll share. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Hello. Thank you, Michael. Thanks a lot for the intro. Yeah, I'll switch off my camera and I'll get on to the presentation of. I've made a small deck for all of us here, and to orient everybody that what Router Protocol is and what we are doing at Router and how we're helping Casper and what we just spoke about. Is my screen visible? Yes, now it would be.
It's coming up, yeah.
So yeah, Router Protocol, it's a intent-based, dev-focused approach to chain abstraction and modular interoperability. So we've been in the bridging space for quite some time. It's more than 4 years now. And we have built a blockchain for our own sales out of Cosmos SDK, so that it's a complete decentralization and secure way of moving assets from one blockchain to another. This is just an architecture of how we achieve these cross-chain transactions, where there is a chain A, and which is the source chain, and then chain B, which is the destination chain, and then we sit in the middle, the router chain. And every transaction, every event passes through a set of validators. And since we leverage the Tendermint consensus mechanism, every event, as I mentioned, passes through these validators, and once a consensus of 2/3+1 is achieved, then this event lands up in the middleware. A small overview of what router chain is. And then we have something called Router Nitro. In fact, let me show you how it looks like and what kind of chains and ecosystems we have already integrated. And I can show you a small demo also of how fast and how cost efficient this particular asset transfer bridge is. So now you can see we have already integrated more than 34 chains, starting from obviously the Ethereum. The good news is that we recently launched even the Bitcoin. That would mean that any user with any asset on Ethereum right now can buy Bitcoin. We are enabling this for non-EVMs also. By probably in another month's time, we will have this figured out for even Casper. And if you can see, we have integrated Solana, Sui is going to come next week, and you can see all bunch of chains here. Including Layer 2 and Bitcoins, Osmosis, Tron, so on and so forth. So now, if we pick up a user on, say, probably Ethereum with maybe 1 inch, and he wants to, this I'll show later on because it doesn't make sense right now. For example, we'll have Casper here integrated, and right now let me pick up, say, Tron in display because that is not ready. So this is how this whole swap function is. And this is very, very fast. And you can see even the bridging cost and moving assets doesn't cost so much. So this is about the Nitro, but the most important and interesting part, which we've been discussing, is something called intents, which we have. So what we have is, because we are a general message passing protocol, and what that means is that once any kind of an asset is moved from one blockchain to another, we can embed an instruction along with that transfer, that asset transfer, which is actually a contract call, which happens that, once that asset lands up on the destination, what next can it do? For example, let's consider a user sitting on Polygon with his Matic, and say he wanted to ultimately stake on Lido on Ethereum. So what he was supposed to do, obviously, he was supposed to swap his Matic into ETH, then take this ETH to mainnet, and then obviously stake on Lido. But we have created adapter for this. I'm just showing that. What Lorenzo was talking about, a single click. So a similar one we can create for even any staking protocol on Casper. So now, okay, with the same example, user sitting on, it can be any chain actually, any of the chains we have integrated with, and obviously Casper is going to figure in here. So a user with Matic on Polygon, say he wants to stake 1,000 Matic on Lido. Say this is single click, and this fees is generally low. Probably mainnet is running a lot of transactions today. That's why it's a bit expensive. And ETA, you can see just 0 second. That means this is under 20 seconds, this whole transaction. Now you imagine the ease with a user, can do this. Otherwise, it's quite complicated, and a large number of steps are involved to do this. We built a similar. Sorry, yes.
Just a question and follow up. So you're dramatically simplifying something here for end users, right? So something that is potentially currently only being done by more advanced DeFi users can turn into something like that's literally a single click.
Exactly.
And I think these adapters, if you could answer that for me, right now you're showing an example where somebody has to select their network and select their token and things like that. But if you were to put an adapter on a very specific website where everybody who's there has Matic on Polygon, right? Like you could skip that piece as well. Like you could make this even simpler, I imagine.
Yes, I mean, if you mean to say that if you can simply put a particular chain
fewer exactly, like preset it to certain values and simplify it even further, making it even less clicks and choices for the user.
Yes, definitely can be customized. That is definitely customizable. Yes, but then why do we show all these things? All these chains is because then a user sitting on any chain actually can get into your liquid staking protocols. So that would mean that the user base will get increased in turn.
No, I completely understand. I'm just using as an example. Let's say you have a partnership with a game on Avalanche or on Base, right? And you want to offer liquid staking on Casper. Their users are all going to be on Base. Like they don't have to select it anymore. So you could simplify the experience. Yeah,
definitely. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So when it is a specific chain, then it becomes very easy. But then we don't have to do all this.
Exactly.
Then it becomes very easy. Yes. So what I wanted to show you was one of the POC which we created for Stakestone. I mean, similar. I'll just show you how it is showing on. So let me share it again. Why am I showing you this? Is because see, this can be a similar thing which we can adopt for even the liquid staking protocol on Casper.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm sharing is the page of Stakestone. So if you see something called a stake on L2s, and if you click here, it will straight away come on to this UI, which is Routers UI. And again, you choose any chain, any asset, and you can straight away get into, I mean, obviously you can get your stone. So this was one adapter for liquid staking protocol, but we have created many such adapters for DEXs or any kind of a DeFi protocol. So I'll quickly show one.
AJ, this was an example where the destination token was fixed, right? So that's an example where you're taking one choice away from the user, essentially. Like there's a million different ways of ending up in your specific token on Casper, for example.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So for example, now any user from any chain ultimately wants to land up on Casper, have the token, and ultimately get into the staking protocol. But
Yep.
a more complicated one, which I'm showing right now, is probably getting into the liquidity pools of a DEX. Like what we created for what I'm showing you right now is Linex on Linear. So if you see again the same any chain, let's pick up say OP and a user with maybe OP, and he wants to get in with 100 OP or in the pools of maybe say WETH and USDC. This is again single step, single click, and all those steps are abstracted. So the user is not bothered. So even any, so you can see even with the minimal fees of just 3.39 and under a 1.5 minute, this can be done.
That's
So
amazing.
this is, yes, this can be replicated even for any of the DEXs on Casper. So yeah,
Right.
this is what, yeah.
And just on that point, we've started having conversations between you and at least Friendly Market, right? So these are things
Exactly.
that are being considered on that note as well.
Exactly. So yeah, this is a brief around router and our intent, cross-chain intent framework. So as we were mentioning, Lorenzo was mentioning that, any user from any chain, we move any asset, and for example, you are giving good APRs, and obviously, the time duration is less. So that facility can be availed by anybody, any user on any chain, and reap the benefits out of it. So that is our endeavor here.
Thank you so much for that, AJ, and thank you for your support of our Casper ecosystem and working with our DeFi developers on creating all these routes with additional intentions, right, in and out of the ecosystem, which is just super important.
Our pleasure, Michael.
Thank you, AJ. Next up, token standards with Odra. I assume Maciej is still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. Okay. Let me set you up, and then I'll pass it to you. So, implementing tokens with Odra. So currently available are CP18, CP78, ERC20, ERC721, and ERC1155. Odra provides a more uniform interface versus the Casper template contracts, mostly because, the Casper template contracts were all historically sort of developed independently from each other, and therefore they don't share a unified design approach. The Odra contracts are potentially easier to customize and build on top of. So for a simple vanilla token where you're just taking the vanilla contract, compiling it and launching it may not really matter. But as soon as you're looking into extending or changing the functionality of your token contract, Odra is more easily extendable and maintainable in the long run. And there are already more token standards available, right? These ERCs are covered, for example. I would like to invite Maciej of the Odra team to give us an overview of the token implementations and more insights into these and other considerations which have led the Casper Association to formally recommend the Odra implementations to ecosystem developers. Maciej, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So hello everyone, this is Maciej.
I just realized that I wasn't sharing my screen. So are you taking over the screen, Maciej?
Yeah, I am. So
Okay.
that'll be Meet. I'll be showing the code. Let me find my window. All right, is it readable?
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna describe you this file. This is time locked wallet, and what I want to do is I'm gonna show you a few features. Like first on how to write tokens. Oh, maybe actually this is not what I want. I wanted to show you Oat token because we were talking about tokens. This is like when you build a DeFi protocol, you want to have a token, but sometimes, actually many times, you want this token to be customized. You want to add something new, and but sometimes you don't, and then, for example, you can take whatever implementation of a token that you want. But if you need customizations, then as a developer, you want to have a fast iterations. You want to change code, test it quickly, then you want to show it to someone. You get a feedback. The feedback will tell you to do something differently, and then you have to iterate again. And what you care the most about as a developer is the speed of iterations. And the speed of iterations means fast tooling, fast testing loop, and the least amount of code that's possibly possible. And these are the...
Maciej, we just lost your screen, by the way. I don't know if that was intentional.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just share. All right.
Yeah, you're back.
All right. So yeah. So that's why we created Odra to enable this approach of development to smart contracts on Casper. Especially because I was missing this with the current approach that was existed 3 years ago. And over the time, we built Odra. We iterated on top of it a few times. We changed features. Finally, we settled on the list of features that we believe are necessary, and they are enough to implement all DeFi stack we know of from many different blockchains. And okay, let's dive into the code. What I want to start with is that this is a repository, and that's this is from examples from our main repository. I'll show you in a minute how to set up your own token, but your own repository. But let's focus on a smart contract now. This is a owned token, and what it means is that the contract is ERC20 token. Like in this example, it's ERC20, can be CP18, can be anything else. And the idea behind this that in this example, we are using two modules that are already available, which is ownable and ERC20. And we use it as already developed modules that the main library is providing. And we do something with this, like a small twist. And in this twist, what we do is we're going to guard a mint function with an ownable module, and whoever is the owner of the contract can mint new tokens. So how you do it? First, you have to you define a struct like this. You annotate it with Odra module macro, and basically this is already a smart contract. What it does behind the scene is that it pulls in the ownable and ERC20 modules, and now on, wherever you want, you can use ownable and ERC20 basically as a substruct in Rust. So standard composition. And then you can start defining your entry points. There is one like a special entry point. It's called init, and the init defines a constructor. It's going to be called just once in the system when it's installed, and it can take a few arguments. In our case, it's a name, symbol, decimals, and initial supply. We don't do much with it. We just like pass it to underlying modules. For example, we can take a look what ownable init does. And what it does is initializes the module setting, the caller as an initial owner. And how it does that? It interacts with the environment that's available in every smart contract context. It gets the caller, and it calls unchecked transfer ownership to the initial owner. And this way, we set up the owner at the beginning at the initialization step. And we also initialize the ERC20 module with this metadata that we passed in the constructor. Then, we don't do much about the transfer, the approvals, and all of these functions that you see here. And that's why we have this delegate annotation that we say that wherever someone is calling this entry point, simply delegate this call to the submodule of ERC20. And what you have to do is you have to define the signature. It's also nice because when you look at the contract, you see what are all interfaces that comes from this contract. So there's nothing hidden from the developer. The same way, we delegate two methods to ownable module, get owner and transfer ownership. And here is our special mint function that I talked about. And this is where we override the mint function. And what we do is we use ownables assert owner, which checks whether this guy, which is the color of the contract, the entry point, is the owner. And if it is, because this one asserts, which means it can fail if the condition is not met. And then if that's fine, simply I call the mint. And basically in this 49 lines, I created a working contract with the token, with the standard interfaces, with the implementation that comes from the library that was already tested. I combined it with the second module that also comes from the same library, and I basically created something new. And so this is really very flexible to override things. For example, I can do another override for you. That, for example, let's say we want to add a balance, like one token to every balance. What we can do is we can simply take this function of balance off, do like this. +1. And this is how we added one token to every account. I simply overrided the balance function. I called the underlying balance off from the submodule and added one.
Which in this case, Mathieu, wouldn't emit an event, right? Which is probably undesirable. Right,
in balance off?
Well, if you're what I'm saying is you're adding to a balance without emitting an event for
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good catch. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I'm showing this as an example
of course.
overriding things. Another piece is that when you wrote this, you created your token, you want to test it. So in the same file, you can do it quite easily. Let's take a look at the setup function. What we do here is we call mount token, which is the object that we defined above, deploy. We are working on top of a testing environment. This is how you have to pass it. And you pass initial arguments. Basically, that's the syntax. It's quite simple. And after we have this token, let's check this test we have a token, and we have a few users that we can use. Sometimes contracts need like to test something. You need to have different users. For example, let's say you want to have like this, then we just change the number, and you have different accounts available for you to use. They all come with the Casper tokens already minted. And the good thing is here that we said that there's no gas costs, and that's like simplifies accounting of Casper transfers a lot.
That's great.
Yeah, it's very useful. Okay.
In the interest of time, Maciej, can we wrap this in the next 1-2 minutes?
Yeah, sure. I'm just finishing. I just want to like finish this one, and that's it. And this is how you call the contract in the test function. There's like no boilerplate. You just call the function by name, and that's it. And this is how you test if the event was emitted. And what else I want to show you is how to set up your own new repo. Let me just change the setup. All right. And also, what else we also have is a CLI tool that allows you to do a lot of stuff. It's called Cargo Odra. And what you can do is you can list templates. And this allows you, in our case, we're talking about tokens. So we have CP18, CP78. And I can generate new token. Let's say ABC CP18. I hit enter. And I have repository ready to compile the contract and produce a WASM. And the same way, it comes with the smart contract that uses underlying CP18 token as a submodule. And you will see the same things here, which is constructor and delegation to all the methods.
We still see your terminal on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. So here is a submodule definition of CP18. You'll get the init function. You'll get all the delegations that you can override, and you will get the setup, and then just type cargo Odra test. And it will test your contracts. Okay, I think that's it.
Amazing. Thank you, Maciej. I'm gonna continue sharing on my end. 1 sec. Here we go. Just going back to the slides that I skipped over. This is what I was talking about while introducing Maciej. I think one of the main advantages here is by using sort of the Odra framework is, first of all, for all these different token standards, you're using essentially the same approach and sort of uniform interfaces, right? So it makes it a lot more understandable and easier to use, especially for projects that are working on multiple token standards or token standards that are supposed to interact with each other. And then secondly, by using these submodules, if there is a reason to upgrade something on the underlying standards, it's essentially a matter of recompiling your project against a newer version of the submodule, right? Like it's versus trying to re-implement all your customizations in the core implementation of the contract. So it's highly efficient and easy to customize and build on top of. Thanks very much, Maciej. Those were the topics we had for the group today, and we wanted to leave enough room for open discussions and questions and any topics that participants may have. So the floor is really all yours, and I think everybody can just unmute themselves if they want to ask a question by voice or put it in the chat, and that's it. Any questions or other topics we want to address for the DeFi Working Group?
Yeah, I had a quick one just to clear the dead air. What might be nice is for this event and the ones that move forward on a monthly basis, just a timeline and list of dates as to expect. Managing expectations with external partners and things like that. Just a timeline would be awesome.
Okay, no, that's good feedback. And first of all, thanks, John from Uphold, and thank you for being here. That makes sense. Thank you. I see a question from Sasha in the chat. Any timeline for the final RPC spec regarding data indexing for market data, etc.? So we're cutting RC5 this week, which means we're feature complete. There should be no more changes to any of the underlying functionality. We're updating the sidecar, which is what provides the RPC interface, but in essence, it more or less translates what it gets through the binary port. So that should be final as well, at least conceptually, but there may be some updates to like documentation and implementation in this current sprint and a half, I would say. So to put things on the safe side, like you should have a final RPC that you can use within the next couple of weeks, I would say. Thanks, Sasha. Godspeed. Any other questions? If there are no further questions, then I want to thank again everybody for their participation today. I think we made a lot of progress in just 1 month, and I again want to point out that that is only possible because this a group of highly dedicated developers and participants in the DeFi Working Group really chooses and to collaboratively work together in an open and transparent way. And together we can move this ecosystem forward. I see Maciej raising a hand before I close.
I just wanted to add one thing, that if anyone from the group wants to consult smart contract or basically like write something, we can basically meet and spend an hour or two sketching something. In the past, I've done this a few times where I just like met with someone just described the problem, and we were able to sketch a basic smart contract that someone can work with, integrate with, and maybe plan further development. Sometimes it's very simple, and I'm available if anyone wants a consult. I'm free.
Thank you so much, Maciej, and I'll reiterate how helpful you've been to many projects in the ecosystem from a smart contracting perspective. So I would recommend you taking them up on that offer. So we will continue to do this every month, while realizing that a month from now, it's basically the beginning of like the Christmas and New Year's holiday break for most people. So we're going to get back to you about exact timing for the next one, whether it's towards the end of December or maybe we shift to the beginning of January when everybody's back in the office. But that will be announced soon. And in the meantime, we will see you on online. Hit us up with any questions, suggestions, feedback, comments, etc. We're always here, and look forward to seeing you next. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.